Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of asynchronous art videos. So this week, we are going to draw Monkey D. Luffy at the museum. So I just want to share my screen with you all so that we can get started. So our objective for today is that we're going to learn how to use the principles of art to create a composition inspired by the artist Ichiro Oda. In Japanese, the last names go first. So his name is really Oda Ichiro, right? So, and we will reach our success criteria when we can use lines and shapes to create a proportionate drawing of Luffy at the museum inspired by Oda Ichiro. So here is Oda Ichiro, and he's a Japanese manga artist, right? And he's an illustrator and author. He was born in 1975, and he's still alive today. So he created the series One Piece, which is like a comic book, like sort of like series that he created at 22 years old, very young, right out of high school, right? So he created 480 million copies of this series, One Piece. And so it is the best-selling fiction of comic series of all times, which means that he's the best-selling fiction author of all time. And so here's One Piece. This is like one of the earlier ones he did in 2003. And so here is Monkey D. Luffy. Now he's an adult in this picture, and he's the most proportionate character out of the whole series. Like you see how some of them, they look really like thin and skinny and very disproportionate. And then there's like short, fat characters. Their like legs are elongated for some reason, but he's the most proportionate one out of them all. So proportions are the relationship of sizes of two or more subjects or elements. Like, okay, so the size of this guy's head in relation to his shoulders, it fits, like it's the right size. His shoulders are not too big or too small for the size of his head. Most cartoon characters like have like huge heads, and then some of them have like smaller heads in small bodies, or huge heads and small bodies, right? So this is what it means like to be proportionate, to be more on the realistic side of drawing a body, right? So, and you can see that there's roughly about 6.5 heads to each male portion of the body. So Luffy, we're gonna do kid Luffy. So a kid Luffy would be like maybe 3.5 head sizes. So we're gonna draw those circles for the heads and oval for the heads. And we're gonna try to make the most proportionate kid Luffy drawing ever, right? And so here is the, Monkey D. Luffy as an adult, right? Luffy, and then here's Kid Luffy. So I just want you to see how they match up. So he is very proportionate. He is that 6.5 head size, and Luffy is the smaller one. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now, and we are going to create our composition of Luffy at the museum. So we're just going to get started with drawing those circles first. So we're going to draw lightly, and we're going to erase later. So I'm going to start at the bottom right part of my paper. I'm going to draw my half a line, my horizontal line right here. And then I'm going to draw a half a circle right there. Okay. Then I'm going to draw another circle on top of that. 1, 2, and one more, and that'll be his head, right? One more will be his head. Right, so those are my 3 circles. So we have 1, 2, 3 circles, and a little half circle on the bottom for where his feet will go. Doesn't really matter. Okay, great. So now what we can do is we can begin to draw his body. So let's start with his face. So young Luffy has like a round circle kind of face. So good thing we did like a circle up here, because we're going to keep that circle. We're going to use that circle to our advantage, right? So we're going to just erase the top part of his head, right? And it's going to look like a U, sort of. It's going to erase that top part. right? It looks like a U, right? So from top to bottom, his eyes are almost halfway in between the head. So it would be somewhere around here. That's where we would put his eyes, right? So I'm gonna start by putting a circle here and another circle here. And those are his eyes. Now his eyes are definitely disproportionate. They're not the regular kind of eyes that we see every day. But those are his eyes, right? His eyes are very cartoonish, very disproportionate. So I'm just gonna bring my camera closer so that we all can see what it is that I am doing. Okay. All right, so I think that is basically as far as it's gonna go. But we can see everything, right? Okay. Okay, so here's my little monkey D. Luffy right here. And those are his eyes, right? So I drew that line right there. And so those are his eyes, and you can erase the line if you want, so no one can see it, right? And so inside of his eye is like this little dots like that, like little dot like that. His eyes are very exaggerated. He's always surprised, right, when you see him, right? And so his eyebrows are diagonal lines on either side. So it's diagonal down and in, diagonal down and in. He looks like kind of like angry or something, right? And then his nose is like a little curvy line, and then it comes to like a point, and then it goes in a little bit, just like that, right? And so his mouth is a curved line underneath his eyes, almost the same size as his eyes. Now his mouth is definitely exaggerated. And then there's another deeper curved line right underneath that, because he's always smiling, right? And so we can start creating his hairline, which is just diagonal lines, right? So I'm going to start with one diagonal line from our imaginary top of the forehead line. I'm going to start and go down, up, down, up, down, up, all in the front, right? And then we'll go from the other side. We'll go down, up, and then we can just leave that there and then begin to go on the outside of his hair, get that spike. Still diagonal lines, right? And so it goes up to like maybe a point, and then that is where his hat is, and then it spikes right on back down, right? Great. So now underneath his eyes is where his ears are, but we can't draw the whole half a circle of his ear. So I'm just going to draw a little curved part so that we all know that that is his ear, right? So underneath the eye is the ear. And then on this side is the same thing. Underneath the eye is the ear. So now he has little ears on either side, and we can begin to draw the rest of his body. So his neck is like somewhere in between there. There's two vertical lines in between that circle right there. Let me just draw a little clearer so that we can see, right? That's his neck right there, his little neck. You guys can see that, right? And so from there, we're just gonna curve up and out, diagonal out and up, and diagonal in a little bit, just to his head a little bit. And then we're gonna do the same thing again and just bring it right on down, right? And this is going to curve down some more. So we get to like that circle, and that's going to be the half of his shirt, like his torso. So we're going to leave that there. Then we're going to go to the other side, right? We're going to create his arm. It's going to go down diagonal and then right back in to that shirt, right? Almost to that shirt. And so this is part of his hand. We're going to do the other part of his arms, diagonal down and out, and then back in. And so now we can get to the good part, which is his shorts, right? I'm going to bring his shirt down a little bit further. So now you can begin to erase all of that circle mist that we did on the inside. You can erase that, right? And we can start to create the rest of his shirt, which is just a vertical line down. And so his shorts are like rectangles. So we're just going to do one rectangle here, right? Then another rectangle here. And so hope you all can see. Give me 1 second, sorry. My light is on a timer, so that lets me know that, hey, you know, you run out of time here, right? So, okay, so we did the shorts with our rectangles, right? And so now we can go back and finish his hand, which is like right on his shorts. I'm gonna erase that circle that's inside there, right? Actually, we can erase all the circles now. We're pretty much done with the circles right now, right? So I'm gonna go down and do a little curve line like that, and then go up. This is his hand, like just sort of like touching his side of his shirt, right? I can go in somewhere. And so there we have his hand on his shirt. And so we're gonna finish doing his legs. So his legs are diagonal lines going down, right? There's one here and one here, and then another one here and here. It looks like it's too small, but that's okay. And so he looks like he's standing like with his feet going out a little bit. So I'm just going to erase this line that we have here. We're going to use that to create his feet, right? His feet are going to go like this, and down there's that scallop line, and then 1, 2, and then back to the foot. So that's his one foot, and you could draw a diagonal line for his sandal. And then underneath his foot, there's another curved line that matches his feet, but doesn't go all the way to the top of his feet. It like kind of like touches that pinky toe right there. And then that's his one sandal. And then on the other side is the same thing. Here's his foot going out. Here's his big toe, scallop line, 1, 2, 3, maybe. I know we have 5 toes, right? But it's kind of small. So from that big toe, we draw that like kind of V, right? And then we draw that same curved line from the outside and into his foot, just like that, right? So now we have what looks like a frame of Luffy at the museum, but we all know that Luffy has these like fluffy parts of his shorts. So we're gonna go ahead and create that. I'm just gonna put another rectangle, like a horizontal line in his shorts to make it look like the fluffy part. Then I'm gonna use that scallop line to create the fluffiness of his shorts, because he's always had like a little rough shorts. And so at the top, where his sleeves are for his shirt, those are just diagonal lines going down and a little curved line going out like that. So for his collar, you can definitely put a V and put his vest if you want. But if you want to do a curved line and put his number 59 on there, you can do that as well. I'm going to do the vest of his shirt. Like I'm just going to do a V and make it into a vest. But you can definitely make it a curved line if you want, right? So here's a V like that. And then it kind of like has these buttons, which is 1, 2, and 3. And in between those buttons, that's where his shirt kind of like comes together, right? And so we have successfully created Luffy, right? But now we have to put him inside the museum, right? So that's the easy part. Let's do that really quickly. So he's so small. Look at him. He's so small on my paper, but he's so cute and he's proportionate. I mean, he does have a big head. Most kids usually do, usually have big heads, but that is okay. Everything else is proportionate. He looks kind of like fat as well. He's a little chubby Luffy. That's fine. So we can continue by creating his hat, right? So his hat is just a circle that goes around. I'm gonna start on this side. It kind of like starts from his neck and then goes all the way around, right? Kind of like a halo. Right, so I'm just going to put that there, and then on top of his hat is like a little half a circle, right? And that is his hat. And so from there, that looks like it's way too big though. Hold up, looks like it's way too tall. Okay, so it's okay that if you make mistakes, you can just erase them and fix them. Like no one really is going to pay attention, because once it's done, once you color it in, everything's going to look amazing, right? So I'm going to start my half a circle from here and then like bring it just a little bit like that. That looks a little bit better. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, great. So now I'm gonna draw him in the room. If you can see my whole paper. Hold up. So, all right, if you could see my whole paper, then you will be drawing a rectangle behind Luffy. You know how we draw that horizontal line for the horizon line? So we're gonna start right there from his hat. I'm gonna go across, but not all the way across the paper. Just gonna go a little bit across. And then we're gonna go up to create our rectangle and then across on the other side of his head and then down and then across again to match that rectangle. And so from either side, either corner of the rectangle, we're going to draw a line to the edge of the paper, to the corner of the paper. So it's going to be a diagonal line. So on this right side, it's going to go right diagonal up, right? On the bottom side, it's going to go right diagonal down to the bottom of the page, right? On this bottom part of the page, it's going to go diagonal down to the bottom part of the page. And then up here is going to go diagonal up, hope you can see, to the left side. So diagonal up into the left corner of the page, right? So we end up with something like this, and it looks like he's in the room, like in front of us, in the room, right? In the museum gallery. So we can draw a picture up here, which is nothing more than another square or rectangle, whatever you want, right? And the picture has a frame, so we draw that frame by putting another square or rectangle inside of the one we just created, right? And then like we did with the corners of the room, we're gonna connect those corners of the squares to each other with those diagonal lines, just like that. You can create another picture on the other side if you would like, and that picture will follow these lines here, right? So it'll be a vertical line, diagonal down, diagonal up and to the right. And that would be our picture frame. We put another one inside, right? And then you connect the two shapes, just like how we did with the surrealist room, right? That's like our window, but right now, it's a picture. We can put any picture you want inside of there, any picture you want inside of here. And then we're gonna do another one on this side, same thing. We're just keeping that same line of the room. We're matching those lines. So this line matches with this line. This vertical line matches with this vertical line. This line matches with this diagonal line. And then we do the same shape on the inside. And then we connect those shapes with our diagonal lines to create our frame. So now we have Luffy inside of the museum. We have successfully created Luffy in the museum. You can color your picture any type of way you want. You can color your ground. Definitely color Luffy, right? And his black hair, right? He's a kid Luffy in the museum. What do you think he's doing in there, right? What is he looking at? What pictures are he looking at inside of the room, right? So I hope you all had a wonderful day creating with me, and make sure you finish. When you finish, you color your whole entire composition and send it to Ms. Maglio in Class Dojo or in Google Classrooms. Thank you and have a wonderful week.